All right, so today we're diving into the world of dating dynamics. We're going to be exploring respect and how it plays out in romantic relationships.
That's right. And you know how we do these deep dives.
Yeah. One source we're dissecting today is this YouTube video
Oh, yeah.
from a French-speaking channel called Pas votre frère,
Okay.
which translates to not your brother.
Interesting.
The speaker in this video is giving advice to men specifically.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it's got some thought-provoking stuff that might surprise you.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes.
Yeah, well, one of the first things that I noticed is that the speaker really emphasizes self-respect.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as like the foundation for earning respect from others.
Right. So it's not just about demanding respect from others, but about cultivating that self-worth that naturally makes other people treat you the way you deserve to be treated.
Yeah, it's almost like setting a standard for how you expect to be treated by valuing yourself.
Right.
You know, you're saying, I'm not going to tolerate disrespect
Exactly.
or settle for less than I deserve.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just stop at like the general concept of self-respect. He actually digs into specific tactics too.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
One is this idea of strategic ignoring,
I'm listening.
which basically means avoiding double texting and chasing after someone who's not reciprocating your interest.
So basically recognizing when your energy isn't being reciprocated and having the self-respect to just step back.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I think a lot of us have probably been there where we're just like, oh, I'm really into this person, but they're not really giving me the same energy back. And it can be really tempting to just keep trying,
Yeah.
to keep texting, to keep trying to make plans. But sometimes that can actually backfire.
And he actually argues that creating space and not appearing desperate
Oh, yeah.
can actually make you more attractive.
Yeah, it can kind of spark that curiosity in the other person. Like, oh, why aren't they chasing me? What are they up to?
It's counterintuitive, you know?
It is.
We're told to be persistent, put ourselves out there.
Yeah, put yourself out there, go get them.
Exactly, but he's saying that sometimes a little strategic withdrawal
Right.
can be more effective.
Absolutely.
And he even goes so far as to say, let the initiative for the third meeting come from the person who canceled the first two.
That's a good one.
It's like putting the ball in their court,
Exactly.
letting them determine if they're actually interested.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off of you a little bit, too.
Right, and then he gets into gender dynamics.
Ooh, this is always interesting.
Yeah, this is where things get a little spicy.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so he believes that women will test men's levels of acceptance,
Oh, interesting.
and then they will calibrate their respect accordingly. He even uses this French word, peser.
I don't know that one.
It means like to test or to push boundaries.
Okay, so he's saying women are kind of like assessing how much a man will tolerate, and then they're kind of adjusting their level of respect based on how he reacts.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So he says that women are very skilled at pursuing men they actually desire, and he advises men to not waste their time on women who don't demonstrate clear interest.
So it's kind of like he's saying if a woman really wants to be with you, she'll make it happen.
He goes so far as to say that women can be great seductresses
Oh, wow.
when they want to be,
So he's saying they have all the power.
implying that if a woman is truly interested,
Right.
she will make her intentions known.
And that's really interesting because, there is that kind of traditional notion that like men should be the pursuers in dating, but he's kind of flipping that script a little bit.
Yeah, and he gives some really good examples. Like,
Oh.
he talks about that classic scenario
Yeah.
where somebody repeatedly cancels plans on you,
Oh, yeah. I've been there.
but then they try to re-engage superficially.
Right, like they comment on your Instagram post or something.
Exactly, like just to keep you on the hook.
Yeah, little breadcrumbs.
And he's like, do not fall for it.
Right.
Maintain your boundaries and don't let yourself be treated disrespectfully.
And that's a really good point because it's so easy to get caught up in that, like, oh, they're finally paying attention to me again.
Right.
But if they're not actually putting in the effort to make plans or to spend time with you, then it's probably not worth your energy.
And he says if someone cancels on you twice, you should drop it.
Really, just like cut it off.
Don't initiate contact again. Let them come to you.
So you're shifting the power dynamic a little bit.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And this all ties back into self-respect.
Right.
Because if you're not chasing after someone who's not clearly reciprocating your interest,
Right.
you're demonstrating that you value yourself and your time.
It's like you're saying, I'm not going to waste my time on someone who doesn't see my worth.
Exactly. And then he goes on to introduce this idea of a respect equation.
Who would say?
He says that a woman cannot truly love a man she doesn't respect.
That's a bold statement.
It is.
I like it, though.
Yeah.
So he's saying that respect is like the foundation for love.
Exactly. He acknowledges that friendliness is fine, but he says that becoming overly buddy-buddy can actually erode the respect
And the passion.
and passion in a relationship.
It's like he's saying it's good to have a little bit of mystery and tension.
Right.
Because you get too comfortable too quickly, it can kind of like, dampen the spark.
Yeah, and he even differentiates between what he calls game means,
Gamines.
women who he suggests might engage in more manipulative or immature dating tactics,
Gotcha.
versus mature women,
Okay.
who he says are more likely to be direct and honest about their feelings.
So he's drawing a distinction between those who kind of like play games or send mixed signals.
Right.
And those who are more, straightforward and genuine.
Yeah, and then this is where he brings up emotional intelligence,
Ooh, essential.
arguing that it's crucial for navigating the complexities of romantic relationships.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Right, and he differentiates emotional intelligence from, academic intelligence.
Yes, because you can be book smart, but still have, no emotional intelligence.
Exactly, and he says, you can be book smart,
Right.
but still lack that self-awareness,
Empathy.
communication skills, all that stuff that you need to have healthy relationships.
Absolutely.
So he encourages men to cultivate emotional intelligence in themselves
Yes.
and to look for partners who exhibit this quality.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point because it's not just about finding someone who's, attractive or compatible,
Right.
but it's about being with someone who can communicate effectively, who can, manage their own emotions and who can understand your needs as well.
Exactly. And he says that emotional intelligence can help you navigate those difficult conversations and disagreements
Oh, for sure.
that strengthen the relationship.
It's like instead of the disagreement tearing you apart, it can actually bring you closer.
It can make it stronger.
Yeah, all about how you handle it.
As we're unpacking all this advice, it's striking how much emphasis he puts on the emotional side of dating.
It really is. It's
Yeah.
not just about logistics or strategies.
Right.
It's about understanding your own feelings and the feelings of the person you're interacting with.
And that's where I think that idea of emotional intelligence is so important.
Oh, absolutely. It's like he's saying, hey, being charming and playing it cool might get you a date.
Right.
But for a lasting relationship,
Right.
you need emotional intelligence.
You need that emotional intelligence. It's
Yeah.
like a superpower
It really is.
in the dating world.
Yeah. You can navigate all those tricky situations with grace and understanding.
Right, because you're in tune with your emotions.
Yeah.
And the other person's emotions.
And he made a good point about how emotional intelligence can help you deal with disagreements in a way that strengthens the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot between being assertive and being respectful.
It's a tough balance.
It is. It's a delicate dance.
It's like those couples you see who can argue
Yeah,
without it turning into World War III.
exactly. They know how to communicate their feelings without attacking each other personally.
Right, or just shutting down completely.
Yeah,
That's emotional intelligence.
that's it in action.
Right there.
Yeah, and his point about seeking out partners who also have emotional intelligence is spot on.
Oh, yeah.
It's a two-way street,
It is.
You need to be able to manage your own emotions,
Right.
but you also want to be with someone who can do the same.
Imagine trying to have a conversation with someone who's emotionally volatile
Oh gosh, yeah.
about a conflict.
We're completely closed off.
It'd be a disaster.
It'd be like a minefield.
Right.
Yeah.
But when both partners are emotionally intelligent, it's magic.
They can approach disagreements as opportunities for growth.
Right.
It's like working together to find solutions.
Yeah, it's like they're on the same team,
Exactly.
even when they have different needs.
Speaking of needs, the speaker also emphasizes the importance of recognizing when your needs aren't being met in a relationship.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, he encourages men to have the self-respect to walk away if someone is treating them poorly.
Even if there's a strong attraction,
Even if the attraction is there.
it can be so hard to do that.
It is, especially when you're caught up in the excitement of a new connection.
Right. You get those rose-colored glasses on.
Yeah. But he's saying you should never compromise your self-worth for a relationship.
No, never.
And that ties back into that respect equation he talked about.
Right.
His claim that a woman can't truly love a man she doesn't respect.
What do you think about that?
It's a bold statement.
It is.
And I think it might not resonate with everyone, but it definitely makes you think about the connection between love and respect.
It really does. Do you think it's always true?
I think it depends on how you define love.
Okay.
There's definitely infatuation and lust,
Right.
which can be intense but fleeting.
Right.
But to me, true love involves a deep level of respect for the other person,
Okay.
for their values, their dreams, their boundaries.
I see what you're saying. So respect is like the foundation
It's an essential ingredient.
for lasting love.
Yeah, and I think the speaker's trying to highlight that love without respect can be really damaging.
How so?
It can lead to those one-sided relationships where one person feels constantly diminished.
Right. Or taken advantage of.
Yeah,
And that's why it's so important to have those boundaries.
absolutely.
Or walk away if necessary.
Yeah, it's about recognizing your own worth
Right.
and not settling for a relationship that doesn't feel good on a fundamental level.
And he talks about that canceling plans thing
Oh, yeah.
as a red flag.
Yeah, even though it might seem like a small thing,
Right.
he's suggesting that it can be an indicator of disrespect
For your time.
for your time, for your energy.
Exactly. And he says don't bend over backward
Right.
to accommodate somebody who's not making an effort.
You got to meet in the middle.
Right. Recognize when someone's not meeting you halfway and then disengage.
Yeah. He even suggests letting the person who canceled the first two meetings initiate the third.
Oh, yeah. Put it back on them.
Yeah, it's a way of taking back control.
Right. And seeing if they're actually willing to put in the effort.
It's like saying, okay, I'm not going to chase after you.
Right.
If you're truly interested, you'll make the effort.
Now, what about this whole thing about women testing men?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one.
Right. And then adjusting their level of respect based on how men react.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that from a woman's perspective.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it testing,
Okay.
like in a manipulative sense. I
Yeah.
think it's more about observing,
Mhm.
how a man carries himself,
Okay.
how he treats others, how he responds to challenges.
So it's like gathering information
Yeah.
to kind of assess his character.
Exactly. It's like we're looking for clues
Hmm.
about his values, his emotional maturity, his capacity for respect,
Gotcha.
empathy, all that.
And he even suggests that women are great seductresses when they want to be,
Oh, absolutely.
which again kind of challenges that traditional narrative of men always being the pursuers.
Women are perfectly capable of pursuing men. We might not always be as direct.
Right.
But we have our ways of making our feelings known.
We do for sure.
And this also ties back into self-respect.
Yeah, how so?
Because if you respect yourself, you recognize when your energy isn't valued,
Right.
and you have the confidence to walk away.
Yeah, you don't settle for crumbs.
You recognize you deserve to be with someone who's actually excited to be with you.
That's a good one. And I love how he makes a distinction between what he calls gay means,
Right.
who he suggests might engage in more of that game-playing behavior.
Right. Or manipulative behavior.
Versus mature women who he believes are more straightforward and honest.
Yeah. Do you think that's an age thing?
That's a good question. I think it might be more about emotional maturity than age.
I agree.
Because, some people, regardless of gender,
Right.
are just better at communicating their needs and intentions.
Yeah, I think that's key.
And he seems to be encouraging men to seek out partners who are emotionally mature
Right.
enough to have that open and honest communication.
And that makes for a healthy relationship.
For sure.
Now, something else that stood out to me was this point about maintaining a certain level of distance in a relationship.
Oh, yeah. He said being overly familiar or buddy-buddy can erode respect and passion.
Right. What do you think about that?
I think it's an interesting perspective because it challenges that idea that constant togetherness is the goal.
Right.
Like, sometimes you see those couples that have been together for a long time
Yeah.
and they seem to have lost that spark.
Right.
They might be comfortable and predictable,
Comfortable.
but there's no excitement.
No mystery.
Yeah, it makes me think of that concept of limerence,
What's that?
that intense, almost obsessive infatuation
Oh, yeah.
that we feel in the beginning of a relationship.
Yeah, like the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And part of what fuels that is the unknown, the mystery,
Right, the chase.
the desire to learn more about the other person.
So if you get too familiar too quickly,
Yeah,
it can kill the vibe.
it can dampen the excitement.
Right.
Yeah, it's like reading a book all at once
Okay.
versus savoring it chapter by chapter.
I like that.
You got to let the story unfold.
Let the anticipation build.
Exactly.
So it's not about playing games or being aloof.
No, not at all.
It's about maintaining a sense of individuality.
Right. You can be close to your partner,
Right.
but you can still have your own life.
Right. And that ties back into self-respect.
It does.
If you have a strong sense of self,
Yeah.
you're less likely to become too enmeshed
Absolutely.
with your partner.
You can maintain your own identity, your own interests,
Right.
while still being present in the relationship.
It was all about that balance
It's a balance.
between closeness and independence.
Exactly. The we and the me.
As we're wrapping up this deep dive into respect and all this dating stuff,
All these dynamics.
what do you think is the most important takeaway?
I think the most important takeaway is that self-respect is the foundation for all healthy relationships.
I agree with that.
When you value yourself, you set a standard for how others treat you.
You attract the right people.
You attract the right people,
Yeah.
and you create relationships that are fulfilling and empowering.
Rather than draining or disrespectful.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about all this respect stuff.
Yeah.
And how important it is in dating.
Absolutely.
But how do we actually, cultivate respect in a relationship?
That's a good question. And it's something the speaker doesn't really address directly.
Right.
He focuses more on recognizing when it's lacking.
Right.
But I think there are some key takeaways from the video that can help us, actively foster respect from the beginning.
Yeah, where do we even start?
Well, he keeps saying that respect starts with self-respect.
Right.
It's not about demanding it from other people, but about embodying it yourself.
Okay.
So working on our own self-esteem,
Right.
recognizing our worth, setting boundaries, not settling for less than we deserve.
It's like that saying, we accept the love we think we deserve.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
If we don't value ourselves, we might tolerate behavior that we wouldn't accept otherwise.
Exactly. And remember, he says, actions speak louder than words.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not enough to just say you respect someone.
Right.
You have to actually show it.
So what would that look like?
Well, for me, I think it starts with basic things like being reliable.
Okay.
If you make a plan, stick to it.
Be on time.
Show up on time, yeah.
Show that you're reliable.
It shows respect for the other person's time.
Right.
Shows that you're a person of your word.
And it goes beyond just punctuality.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
It's about being present and engaged when you're with someone.
Okay, so put your phone away.
Yeah. Put the phone away.
Listen.
Listen actively.
Ask questions.
Ask thoughtful questions.
Make them feel heard.
Yeah, make the other person feel like you're actually interested in what they have to say.
And I think it also goes to respecting their opinions.
Yes.
Even if you don't agree.
Absolutely. You don't have to have the same viewpoint on everything.
But create a space where you can have a conversation.
Right.
And you can disagree respectfully.
And feel safe to express themselves.
Right.
Without judgment.
And also recognize and appreciate your partner's strengths.
Ooh, yes. Celebrate their successes.
Their accomplishments.
Yeah, it shows that you're paying attention and that you care.
Be their cheerleader.
Yeah, be their biggest fan.
And, sometimes it's not about the grand gestures. It's about those small, everyday acts of kindness.
A simple thank you.
Yeah, a thank you.
Or remembering a detail that they mentioned.
It can go a long way.
It makes people feel seen and appreciated.
Now, I want to go back to that thing he said about maintaining a little distance.
Oh yeah, the buddy-buddy thing.
Right.
He says being overly familiar can sometimes erode the respect and the passion.
Right. What do you think about that?
It's interesting.
It is.
Because it challenges the idea that we always need to be together.
Right, 24/7?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you see couples who've been together for so long.
Yeah.
And they've just lost the spark.
Right.
They're comfortable.
Comfortable, predictable.
But there's no mystery.
Yeah, it reminds me of that limerence thing.
Oh yeah, limerence.
Right.
That intense infatuation.
That excitement in the beginning.
Exactly. And part of what fuels that is the unknown, the mystery, the desire to learn more.
Right.
So if you become too familiar too quickly,
Yeah.
it can kill that.
It can.
Yeah, it's like reading the whole book at once.
Okay.
Instead of savoring each chapter.
I like that analogy.
You want to let the story unfold gradually.
So it's not about playing games.
No.
Or being intentionally aloof.
Right.
It's about maintaining your individuality
Exactly.
within the relationship.
You can have your own interests, your own pursuits.
Right.
And respect each other's space.
Not be too dependent on each other.
Right. And that also ties back into self-respect.
It does.
If you have a strong sense of self,
Right.
they're not going to become overly enmeshed with your partner.
Because you have your own thing going on.
Exactly. You have your own identity, your own interests.
It's all about finding that balance.
It's all about balance,
Right.
closeness, independence,
We and me.
the we and the me.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
The most important takeaway is that self-respect is the foundation for all healthy relationships.
Love that.
When you value yourself, you set a standard for how others treat you.
Right.
And you attract the right people.
Yes, you do.
And you create relationships that are fulfilling and empowering.
Rather than draining or disrespectful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, listener, as you navigate the dating world, remember the power of self-respect.
Such a great reminder.
How you value yourself sets the stage for how others treat you.
And if something doesn't feel right, trust your gut.
Always trust your gut.
You deserve to be treated with respect, kindness, and consideration.
Absolutely. And remember, true love is built on a foundation of mutual respect and admiration.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Happy dating, everyone.